Welcome to the Sporting Clays Nation podcast, brought to you by the National Sporting Clays Association. We are excited to bring you the latest news and conversations with industry leaders and professionals so you can be ready for the next time you pull the trigger. Now get settled in and get comfortable as we load up for an action-packed episode. Here is your host, Clifford Seibert.
Howdy, everyone. Thank you all for tuning into the show today. If you're a new listener, I would encourage all of you to like and subscribe. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for spending your time with us. We have a great episode in store for you all today, as we have three incredible guests. Our first guest will be Michael Hampton Jr., the NSSA and NSCA Executive Director. He'll be walking us through his experience with the past national championship, and then he'll be discussing the upcoming World English Sporting Clays Championship held in San Antonio. After that segment, we'll be talking to Jeff Hewitt from Lockton Affinity Outdoors as he discusses firearm insurance. And then finally, we will be talking to the 2025 NSCA National Champion, Mike Wilgus, as we take a deep dive into his whole entire tournament, what he was thinking, how he was feeling, and how he got through it all. Now for our first segment, Michael Hampton Jr. Hi, Michael. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being on for the second time. How are things going in San Antonio after your national championship?
Very good, Cliff. We're still doing the cleanup. As you can imagine, that event this size, it takes a few weeks, probably about a month before we're completely picked up from everything that we had.
From your perspective, what do you think stood out to you the most about this national championship?
Well, first off, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Without all of our sponsors' support, these events cannot be what they are, whether it's anything from our championship tour to our national championship. Also want to thank all of the shooters that made the trip. You know, we had shooters come in from 49 states, 17 countries. We had over 2,600 competitors throwing over 2 million targets during those 9 days. So it was a big event, and it was the largest one we've ever had. It was actually the largest clay target shoot that's ever been held. So we're proud of all of those accomplishments and want to thank all the shooters and everyone that helped make that happen. A couple of the things that I think the reason why we've got the success we have is from our EC. The NSCA and the EC has been working hard over the last few years to grow our social media, expose our sport to more people outside just our core shooters and that kind of stuff. So I believe that all this social media, these videos, all of these things that happen at our regionals and US Open and nationals, all that video technology that we've got out there promoting this sport has kind of really started to show up, and that's why we're getting the 560 first-time attendees that we had this year. You know, they're seeing it, and we're hearing that, hey, I saw your post. I saw this video. It looked exciting, so that's why I had to be here.
That's incredible. I know you guys do a survey after the event is over. What kind of information, what feedback did nationals get in regard to the tournament as a whole?
Yes, we're still getting some of the survey information in and that kind of stuff, but the survey, you know, they're anonymous to us, but I will tell you that our team here at headquarters and the team that we bring in that travel in to help us set the courses, bring in the machines and that, we look at every one of those surveys. That input is important to know where we're hitting the mark or missing the mark. Do we need to go a little bit more easier on targets, a little bit harder on targets? Do we need to add some different things? It gives us a lot of things that really help us try to build and improve on the shoot. So if you attended and you got the survey and you haven't sent it in, please do. We really need that input. But, you know, we do know that we were two areas that were kind of glaring. With an event this big, you're going to have a couple issues. One of them was dust. It was terribly dry before the event was down here in Texas, and here in San Antonio it was dry. So obviously you bring in the 2,500 plus 2,600 people and all of the UTVs and golf carts and trucks and trailers and RVs and driving over grass. We have a lot of hard packed surface, but not everything is. You're not going to have enough parking lots to accommodate that. So being that it was so dry And then, we had two water trucks that were running constantly, trying to keep up with everything. And then you compound it with our Friday night, we get rain. We get over an inch of rain Friday night. So the next morning, when people start at 7 o'clock in the morning, everything's muddy. So they're tracking mud on their trucks, the trailers, and these UTVs on the tires are dragging all the mud from the fields onto the roads and onto the courses. And that made it muddier. And then by about 2 or 3 o'clock that day, it was dry, and then here comes more dust. So it just went from being a dry situation to us putting mud out there and it drying up. So we're going to do some things we're looking at and try to mitigate those issues, trying to get some more hard pack surfaces for trailers to park on to help eliminate that. We'll keep the water trucks running and that. So we're going to do what we can to fix that problem. And the other problem was, we have 13 courses. So I mean, we're walking a very fine line on setting those courses for national championship caliber to enjoyable for everybody. Our team that comes in led by Neil Chadwick, reviews everything. We look at the stats on how many first timers do we have coming in? What are the percentage of A to D class? What is that percentage of those others? This year we had almost 55% was from A to D. So we know we've got to set targets for everybody. And that's walking a real fine line on making it to where, like I said, if you hit targets, you're having a great time. If you don't, and there's things that you do you knew you should have hit, you can live with that. But some things that we know that we had two courses out there, that one of the courses on the main event was a few stations were a little too tough. They shot a little harder than we would like. Also on the Pro 5 stand, we had a couple machines on a couple of the layouts that were a little tougher than we would like. And but the survey will help confirm all of that. We run these numbers, we compare them to last year and feedback from last year. And then the team will go back and say, okay, how can we improve? How can we get better? How can we make sure that if we're going to err, we're going to err on the enjoyable side for targets, not on the difficulty side. And that's always something that we try to pride ourselves in, that team prides themselves in to make sure they can try to hit that mark.
What do you think has grown it to the sheer size it has now?
Well, I think it's the competition we just talked about a little bit, but it's the other stuff is what really brings everybody around that enjoys it. We have food and drinks and music, entertainment that are big during the week. Our Friday night Top Gun event and our Saturday North versus South Pro Am. I mean, we'll have the stands filled. We'll have 800 people out there having a good time. We do drawings and that kind of stuff. So it's Nationals is more than just the competition. It's the event. It's time for people to come and shoot, but they want to go meet new friends and go say hello to old friends and hang out and catch up. That, as I said, we got 49 states represented. We got 17 countries. So these people are coming and seeing everything. They love Vendor Row. People just absolutely love shopping in that, and the vendors love seeing all these shooters. We have some shooters that come up here for 1 or 2 days that come in and they'll shoot the K Cup or the Breda Super Sport event or a sub gauge event just to go have fun, but then go shopping and go hang out and see some people and that kind of stuff. So it's really a big, well-rounded of event. Um, the other side is I want to thank Ann Morrow, Judy Rhodes, and the Divas for all the stuff they do for the ladies. We started back with the leadership of those guys of having a ladies open. So it's a 50 bird ladies event. We also have a ladies clinic. The clinic is on a Thursday. That is an experience for the beginners. These divas and Ann and Judy help these ladies get started in the sport. And this year we added an intermediate for the ladies that have shot a little bit, but kind of want to take it to the next level. So there's a lot for ladies. There's a lot for everybody of all levels of competition, all levels of skills. If you're just now getting into the game, it's something to go see. If you've been shooting on it, this is where you need to make sure you check this on your bucket list. But we hope that once you see it, you go, you know what? I'm going to tell somebody and I'll be back again next year.
And on top of all of those amenities, your team does a great job on marketing the whole event. And I know you filmed the pro squad and you're going to be releasing a few of those videos. When should we expect those to come out?
Yeah, this year we did two separate videos. Again, Johnny Carter and his team came in and did the Pro Squad. The Pro Squad video is out right now. You'll be able to go out to our YouTube channel and take a look at it. And the 2025 National Championship, the whole video will be coming out anytime. It should be any day right now. It should be coming out also. We'll be out there on our YouTube and all of our social media to take a look. And it kind of helps show the whole sport as and this event as culminating and the excitement that is with that. So we appreciate what they're doing now and that kind of stuff. And hey, after you see it, I'll tell you, if you're thinking about coming to 2026 national championships, you need to get signed up. We have over 2,000 shooters already signed up for next year's event. We're going to be adding events and days to this to accommodate it. But if you know you want to come, you need to get on the wait list, because as we open up those new events and new days, those will fill up through the wait list. So get signed up now if you really want to come and enjoy yourself at the biggest shoot in the world.
Very nice. And for those of us that did go to the shoot this year, when should we expect our awards and checks and things like that?
Yeah, we got those out earlier this week. So if you're a winner, you're going to have your check. You'll have your awards package being sent to you. The checks come separate from the awards, but once you get the awards, we kind of allow everybody to pick what they want. Some people want trophies, some people want gift cards, and they're allowed to take their pick sheet, mark what they want as their prize and that kind of stuff, send it back to us, and Nikki Bowers, our assistant director, does a wonderful job on getting those processed with her team and getting those back out to everybody. We're hoping to have everything out to everybody returned back by before Christmas.
Awesome. I think logistically everything was great at the championship, and I know you guys are getting everything back together at the club itself. But what do your preparations look like for this upcoming World English Championship?
Yeah, we're excited about our numbers. We're over 1,500 already. Ian Parker, who is here from CPSA, who's their executive director, was excited about the number of people coming over from England and their teams up and down. Other countries are rolling in with teams and that kind of stuff. It's a great time for our USA Sporting Clay team to take on the world, take on the other teams and see how well we can do. But it's also for all of our shooters here in the United States. They say, "What is the World English Sporting Clays Championship?" It's just like it's the World Sporting Clays Championship. We just call it the World English because it's a partnership that we have with CPSA, and it was started that way, and we've maintained that. But it's just a standard sporting clays event, just like the national, just like our U.S. Open, just like our regionals. But the only difference is there's that team aspect to it. The team aspect gives it the excitement of these other teams in other countries. And then at the end, we have our final six that will go into the stadium that see who is the World English Sporting Clays champion. So that's fun. It's exciting. We're excited that we have over 200 people on a wait list. With that, we've decided to open up a new main event rotation that will be coming out and getting posted any day now. That'll be a Wednesday, Thursday main event rotation. Everybody is eligible for all the awards. They can win the championship, all the prizes and everything. But what it'll allow them to do is, because there's three courses, because you're going to be shooting on three different courses. On this Wednesday, Thursday, one day you'll shoot two courses, and another day you'll shoot one, depending on how that rotation is. Some will shoot one on the first day and two on the second. So it's a way to accommodate more people and allow everybody to experience the World English Sporting Clays Championship this year here in San Antonio, Texas.
Fantastic. I know myself and hundreds of others are looking forward to that event. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we part ways?
Well, no, I just want to remind everybody, thank you for a great year. If we don't get to talk, I think we will probably talk again, but I want to thank everybody for, like I said, everybody's for the Winchester Championship Tour, their attendance at all of those regionals. U.S. Open and National Championship. Appreciate that. And remind everybody, if you haven't renewed your membership, please renew it so you don't miss out on anything.
Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Cliff. Take care of yourself.
Our next segment will be a short and informative one. We'll have Jeff Hewitt on from Lockton Affinity Outdoors as he discusses all things firearm insurance. Stay tuned.
Lockton Affinity has been fortunate to be in the firearm and shooting sports space for the last 25 years. I've been managing that program since we started that piece of our business here at Lockton Affinity. And we have partners that we've had for the last 25 years, like the National Rifle Association, which is how we got into this space, helping them grow their program for their members. And that's really what we're focused on doing for NSCA and NSCA. And so that really sort of gives you, we've built products over that time that have become much more meaningful based on what customers need. We administer all the claims here. So you'll actually be talking to someone on our team here. And again, this is one of those high-end customer service experiences that we try to bring to all of our association partnerships, and certainly we'll do the same here.
Now Jeff is going to discuss some of the common differences you might find between Lockton Affinity Outdoor services and your typical homeowner insurance policy.
If I look at my own homeowner's policy, I have $2,000 worth of firearm coverage only. And, you know, it's part of my homeowner's policy. So it's got my homeowner's policy deductible, which is kind of a higher deductible on it. And it's nowhere near enough for my personal firearms. So then what do I do for that? We have a product, just personal firearm property. It's on our website, which we'll share the website address with the people with all the members at the end of this segment. But so what do we do for them? We've created this product that acts not as excess to your homeowners, but it acts as primary coverage for the firearms that I own. It's specific for the firearms and any attachments and any special things that I've put on that particular firearm. We cover sort of all the normal things: theft, fire. We include flood. We include earthquake, which typically aren't covered on your homeowner's policies. We've had very few flood claims, by the way, one or two over the years where the firearm was in a safe that was in the basement that got some water damage. But, those are nice to have coverages, but it does cover that travel throughout the U.S., its territories. We do then give policy extension if you were going on safari, as an example, or going to another country outside of the U.S. territories. There is coverage for that. Most people, when they're doing that type of travel with a firearm, will call us to make sure that they've got that extension on there, which we automatically provide. If that extension of coverage isn't enough, we can bump that up for that particular trip. But yes, travel, loss while travel, those kinds of things are certainly covered in that as well.
Now Jeff is going to discuss a breakdown on how Lockton Affinity Outdoors pricing model works.
The cost with our product is it's $1.25 per $100 of value. So in better terms, it's $125 for $10,000 worth of coverage. And that's on an annual policy. So when folks enroll through our website to purchase this coverage, and I just had this conversations when I was at the Skeet Shooting Worlds a couple of weeks ago with a number of people that were coming up and asking about, hey, I've got a Krieghoff valued at X. How do I insure that with you, and how much does it cost? And so people were scanning the QR code at our booth and just going in right there. And it's an easy enough process on our website to just enroll and purchase the insurance right there on the spot. So when you go through that process on our website, you'll see, fill out your normal name, address, the value of the firearms that you own. We have a second tier process where, and by the way, we don't collect serial numbers. We understand the sensitivity of folks not wanting to share serial numbers. So that's not within our underwriting purview. We don't need to know the serial number. Any items, we can call them, put them in what's called unscheduled. Unscheduled firearms would be anything that's valued under $2,500 for any one firearm. So in my case, if I have $10,000 worth of firearms and they all fit underneath that 2,500, I just would say I have 10,000 times the rate, and I could go to the checkout online to purchase the insurance. If I have any value over 2,500, which I'm imagining most members are going to have in any one or multiple shotguns that they might have, I'm just declaring, I'm giving a description of the make and model and declaring a value of that firearm. And if I put that in there and I said the value of my firearm is $14,500, then we write the policy for that particular firearm at that limit amount, and that becomes the agreed value of the insurance. So that if that firearm's lost, that's what we would pay out on that firearm minus the deductible. And we have a low deductible of $250 per any one claim.
Lastly, Jeff is going to discuss whether you need a receipt or an appraisal for your firearms in order to get insured.
We don't, unless we're going to get into firearms valued, any one firearm over $25,000. We'd like to get a receipt of purchase, which most people still have when they're making that sort of an investment, or we'd ask to go have that appraised.
And now we will be speaking to the 2025 NSCA National Champion, Mike Wilgus. Mike had a torrid hot year where he dominated in both the veteran concurrent and an open class. In open class, he was a top 4 finisher at 3 regionals. And as a veteran, he won 3 regional main events. And if that wasn't enough, he also flew all the way to Cyprus on the USA Sporting Clays team and became the veteran World FITASC champion. When he flew this year to San Antonio, he became one of 5 people to have ever won 2 U.S. Opens and a national championship. Here's our conversation with Mike.
For our audience that don't know you, you live just outside of Seattle, right?
I do. I live across the water in Bellevue, Washington.
Okay. Well, the weather there is pretty mild, right? It doesn't get super cold in the winter. You're not facing those -10s.
No, it's pretty mild. We do get rain, not as much as people think, but it's pretty mild. We'll get snow maybe once a year, but that's about it.
Gotcha. And I have another little icebreaker question for you, so the audience gets to know you. When did you start to love competition? Did you play any sports growing up?
I did. I played in high school. I played football and basketball, and then really carried basketball all the way into college and beyond. I played community college ball, and then I didn't play it. I went to Washington State University. I didn't play there, but I played with the team a lot on the side and intramurals, and I carried that on until now with some of the same buddies from back then. So yeah, lots of competitive stuff in my life.
You got to grow up with the Seattle Supersonics then, huh? Were they your team, or did you pick someone else?
Well, back then I lived on the other side of the state, but I still rooted for the Sonics.
Okay.
But I lived in the Eastern Washington.
Gotcha. So, congratulations are in order. You are the 2025 national champion. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, I've been working for that for a long time, and it's a hard one to get. So we finally got it, and it felt real good.
How did you prepare for that tournament? Where did you go and practice? What did your practice routine look like?
A lot of the prep was, majors leading up to it, kind of like really hit it hard starting in August. We went to Montana State, and then from there over to that Idaho Regional at Nick Berry's place. And shortly after that, it was Louisiana for a regional at Covey Rise. And then from there, Southeast Regional at Rick Hemingway's. So a lot of it was big tournaments, but I also practice a lot locally. I'll shoot 5-stand Wednesday nights up here at a local club. And then we've got our own club, Rock Mountain, with 32 stations and a couple different training areas. I practice there a lot. And after the Southeast Regional, I always get near nationals where it's a time crunch and don't have time. But I made the time. I said I'm going to go to Rock Mountain at least 3 times because it was only a couple weeks, and I actually went like 7 times. So shot a case or more every time and just trained hard on very difficult stuff and difficult and technical. But I did a lot of that 7 times up there. Then I went early to nationals to acclimate, went down to 74 Ranch and stayed there with my buddy John Thorpe and Dave Bartow for 2 days. And McGuire was down there. So we practiced together for 2 days there. And then I rolled up to nationals and relaxed for a couple days and got into that. So quite a bit of practice.
Very cool. You said you were practicing really hard stuff. I've heard some people say they go out and shoot even softer clays before a big tournament just to see the targets break. What's your thought process there to practice hard?
I mean, I get enough of that at other clubs, the soft stuff. So when I go up to Rock Mountain, I practice pretty hard stuff and sometimes silly extreme stuff just to put myself in that position. So if I ever do see it, it doesn't surprise me. So I think we do a lot more of that than the really soft stuff.
It's oftentimes a little more fun too.
It is. We have a good time. We play games and sometimes it gets a little extreme, but as you know, a couple stations on green got extreme and then they don't surprise you.
Right. Do you find that walking back or making those shots especially difficult makes more normal shots look easy?
Of course it does. Yeah. When you train like that, your normal stuff seems very easy.
While your routine was obviously working, you really steamrolled through the year. I know you didn't go to a couple of regionals. We were talking about that before the show. You're busy moving your daughter into college. Did you think that almost load management, not going to every tour stop, helped kind of fuel the fire to be competitive at the ones you did go to?
Yeah, in hindsight, yes. But, at the time, I'm like, oh, darn, I can't go. I went to my friend Katie Fox's wedding, who I used to shoot with a lot. And that was in Montana. So I missed I think that was I'm not sure which regional it was, either Ohio or Pete's place. But I missed one. And then Kayla moved into college in Texas on the next one, which, of course, I didn't mind moving her in at all. But at the time, you're thinking, oh, man, I'm missing a regional. But in the big picture, maybe it was a good thing.
Yeah. And the ones you went to, you excelled at. You had 3 top 5 finishes at the regional. You won veteran in the main event at each one. Did you feel like you had some momentum carrying into this national championship?
I actually did. I mean, coming off of Idaho, I got runner up there, and then I don't know exactly where I was in Louisiana, but I was definitely top 4. And then Rick's, I was tied for runner up at the end of that with a shot to win that on Sunday. And definitely felt like I had momentum going into nationals.
In hindsight, do you think it's almost better, because I know you're a super competitive guy, to take a runner up or a 3rd place before this huge event because it makes you a little bit hungrier, or looking back, or is it still, I would have rather
Kayla and I were talking about that this week. I was talking to her on the phone, and I'm like, oh man, I should have won that regional, should have done this. And she's like, Dad, you won the nationals. It's like, so yes, hindsight, I'd rather win the nationals than win a regional. So yeah, I think it does, for me, fuel the fire for sure.
How did the national championship get started for you? Were you pretty happy with your first couple days of performance?
I was super happy. So I will tell you this. So let's backtrack a little bit. I shot, my first event was Wednesday, FITASC all 100. And I literally shot the worst FITASC score of my probably career. I just wasn't on. And I was testing a different stock for some reason, and I shot terrible. So I pulled the stock off that night and then we had an 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, and I just rolled that yellow course, shot 73. So yeah, I was really happy with the start.
You put the old stock back on to do that,
yeah,
right?
Right away.
Good.
right away.
Good. I'm glad those guys at Krieghoff got you fixed overnight. I'm sure that
Yes.
was
Yes.
first class help there. Going into the third day, you were tied for first place, and I think that's when we started to notice that the targets are going to become a little bit more technical.
Kind of expected that. Yep.
Uh, do you prefer those? Do you like it when it starts getting a little longer, a little trickier, and people start to miss?
I do. I mean, I like it all, but I liked how those courses progressed. I mean, they definitely got, I'd say, a little bit harder each day.
I agree, and we see at pretty much every target on a 300 bird main event there. I think the only thing missing might have been an overhead. That being said, you have some much more manageable shots, I would describe. Maybe they're a little bit closer in. You got a good amount of time to look at them visually, hand speed with the bird, and
Right.
then they'll mix in some really harder to see stuff. Well, not hard to see, but hard to focus on for a long time. So you
Right.
have to be decisive and really trust your hands in order to break those types of targets. How do you
Right.
manage around like that? Let's say we have 7 medium stations where you're managing it, but then 3 stations are a little bit tougher. You have to really trust the gun. How do you flip headspaces?
I mean, I think I'm just good at that. I practice so much that I'm good at the barrel awareness birds where you basically have to point at them. And then when it gets bigger, I just practice so much of that I just instinctively trust my move. And so that's how I manage it.
That's a good way. It obviously works. Going into that last day, being on the pro squad, you were obviously reshuffled, so you got to
Yep.
shoot with the second place guy, third, fourth, and fifth place.
Yep.
Does that change the dynamic for you? Does it change the mental game? Are you still competing with yourself? Or now that you get to see these guys shooting with you, does it turn a little bit more head to head?
It's definitely more head to head. It was just a different environment. I mean, the thing is, we just did it a week or two prior at Rick's place. So I had shot with Brandon there also. So, I've shot with Brandon a fair bit this year. And so I'm not uncomfortable with that. But the head to head part, the crowd, there was a lot going on. I mean, we got to station 1 and I was actually the 20th shooter to start station 1 because they had 4 squads on that station. So definitely a little more tension, a little more intense, more pressure, of course, because it's the final day of nationals. So it all plays a factor for sure.
What's it like within that squad? I know all of you guys are all friends. Does it still feel that way? Is it the tension there? Are you guys still fist bumping and talking in between stations, or does everyone kind of go into their own world?
Yeah, we're all friends, and yes, we're all fist bumping, but it's definitely, there's just a little more tension, especially at the start. But it eased up midway. Couple of us talk during for sure. Some don't, but it's all good. I mean, the pro squad, that's where it's at.
That green course, I personally noticed from stations 1 to 10 where you finished, it went from manageable to a little harder to a little harder to a little harder to really hard. Did you kind of
Right.
feel that same sort of way about that
Oh,
course?
I felt it. So I started on 1, which was pretty manageable. I missed a bird. I'll just go through it with you. I got to 2. Pretty sure 2 was the big Batu. I missed the last target there, which wasn't bad. Most guys miss there. Got to 3, missed 1 target there. No, I'm sorry, I ran 3. 4, I missed a bird. 5, I ran. And then we roll around to 6, and it was that big chandelle and maybe a trap bird. And a couple of my squad mates missed that. I ran that. And then we rolled into 7 with that big midi. It's probably a 50-yard midi, I would assume. I missed 1 there. And pretty much, I'm not sure. I don't think anyone on my squad ran that. And then we went to 8, which was that tower and the rabbit. That's where the missing really started because we watched the squad in front of us shoot it, and then we shot it. But a bunch of guys missed a lot there. And I'm like, okay, just manage manage it. You know what to do. So I attacked that tower bird instead of riding it. It was slow 45-yard crosser dropping, but I decided to attack it. I knew it took no lead, but I just went right after it, and I killed 6 there, missed a rabbit, which wasn't acceptable, but it was still pretty good for that stand based on what everyone else did. And then we got to 9, and it was a 70 and a standard, pretty good true pair. And I ran that, and then I was like, okay, I'm rolling pretty good. So I was down like 5 or 6 going into the final stand.
At the final stand, I know the scores were updating. Did you have a pretty good idea of what they were? Were they displayed to you? Did you look or?
I had no idea.
Right. And you're obviously not keeping track of anyone else in your squad's score. It would be hard to, right? Kind of
No
taking you
idea.
out of the present.
And especially, not only my squad, but Anthony and Zach, all those guys were in front of us. So I have no idea what they were doing.
How did that last station feel? Did you feel a special amount of tension going into it?
No, not really. I was first there.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked my way up there and viewed the birds, and I was actually pretty confident because it's a bird I shoot a lot up at Rock Mountain. So I was pretty confident on the pair.
After you finished getting off that last station, did you know you won?
After I shot the last pair, the crowd cheered, and I had to assume I did. But as I was walking off the stand, I was talking to Derek Mine, and I'm like, did I win? And he kind of confirmed it. He's like, you only had to hit 3 or something. So at that point I knew. And I mean, I was just elated. It was surreal. It's crazy.
Did you have an opportunity to celebrate with your family after you won, or did you have to hit a flight right back home?
No, we did all the pictures and interviews and everything afterwards, and stayed in the stadium till probably 9:30 at night. And then myself, Zach, Anthony, Joe Finizzi, all the guys, my buddies, John Thorpe, Dave Bartow, Bill Tarico, the Finizzi family. We all went out and celebrated at BJ's. I mean, it's the only place that was open, but we kind of do that every year. So it was great, man. And then after that, we went back to the hotel and packed up, and I didn't even go to sleep. We had to leave at like 3 a.m. So I was just wired. It was awesome.
That is fun. Well, it's such a cool win too, because you add it on top of an already super successful resume. You've won 2 U.S. Opens before. How many times have you been on Team USA? 8 times now?
I don't know that number, but a fair amount, yeah.
And now you have a national championship. It kind of seems like someone listening should nominate you for the Hall of Fame. I think that kind of put you over the top, in my personal opinion. My friends and I always talk about, we're shooting nerds, so we talk about like, oh, where's this guy all time?
Right.
And where's this? And
Right.
I think you would have been before, but this is so cool to see. And you've been winning for the past 2 decades. And it was fun being at that tournament as well, because everyone was cheering for you. Everybody
cool.
loves you, and everybody wanted to see you win. So it was cool to see you do it.
That's awesome.
As we kind of wrap up our segment, is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience?
I'd just like to thank all my sponsors for being by my side all these years. Krieghoff, Winchester, White Flyer, Castellani USA supplies my vests, and Clay Target Vision keeps me in the glasses business, seeing the targets. So it's awesome. And my family, of course, that is always supporting me. So pretty cool.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Mike.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please like and subscribe. And if you didn't, I've included a poll in the description so I can hear from you, the viewers, on what you want to learn about and who you want to hear it from. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. And until then, keep blasting away.
The information, opinions, and advice contained in this multimedia content, including any third-party sites listed or linked in such multimedia content, collectively, the content, represent the views and opinions of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views, standards, policies, or opinions of the National Skeet Shooting Association, the National Sporting Clays Association, or any of their respective employees, members, volunteers, agents, representatives, or affiliates, collectively, the association parties. The mere appearance of the content on the site does not constitute an endorsement by any of the association parties. The content has been made available for information and educational purposes only. Unless specifically stated otherwise, none of the association parties endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in the content, and none of the content should be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The association parties assume no responsibility for and hereby disclaim any and all liability to any party for any direct, indirect, implied, punitive, special, incidental, or other consequential damages arising directly or indirectly from any adoption or use of the content, which is provided as is and without any warranties. For further clarity, the association parties make no representation or warranty with respect to the accuracy, completeness, applicability, effectiveness, fitness, or completeness of the content, including with respect to their compliance with applicable law.